Hi everybody, how you doing? I hope you're enjoying this channel. If you are, press like and subscribe. Pod and deliver, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.
Hey there, welcome. Ruben, tonight I just wanted us to spend a little time together talking about the last 5 years. We've been doing this for 5 years now. I think it's gone by pretty quick. I just can't believe that it's been that long. And we've done over 415 episodes and we're still doing it. And I just had some questions for you regarding this whole time with us. I mean, together. And it was, somebody asked me just this last week, Ruben, a student actually. I didn't even know the students. I never even remember bringing it up to the students that, at least this year's students, that we did a podcast. And this young man goes, "Hey, can you? I have to do a podcast for my class. I don't know how to do it." And I said, "Oh, and that's a big question." So I just sent these two episodes that we never even released regarding how to do a podcast, or not how to do a podcast, but how do we do it? How we do it, because there's a lot of different ways of doing it. And he was so grateful. But with that being said, can I ask you a question? What's the biggest thing you feel like we do better today than we did 5 years ago, or maybe we haven't done anything better? Do you think there's anything we do better now? I mean, if you look at us, what we do today, is it different than it was 5 years ago with our first episode?
I think that we're better communicators. If we're not better from 5 years ago, then we should probably stop. But I think we're better at getting the point across. And I think we have a different question that we're asking. Before we thought, hey, let's just put up anybody and put up any topic and anything. And now we're thinking, well, what do we want to see? What would we prefer seeing? And I think we're better at thinking through the episodes. And I think we're better at getting out the information. Um, and, you know, we have like a time frame sometimes to our videos that I don't think we thought about in the beginning. We just kind of put up things. Our tech is better. Not
Sure.
that our tech is great now, but our tech was pretty bad in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I know I was living in I was living where I couldn't even get Wi-Fi very well. And our very first video, which was we released it on Valentine's, but I think it we shot it like a day or two before
Yeah.
February 14th, 2021, I think it was.
Yeah.
And it or 2022, 2021, where
2021.
we where I think we got frozen. Although in the last year I would be frozen too a few times, but that anyway, I think our tech is a little better too. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we're
There you
still a
go.
tiny channel, but I think we've come a long way.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Now, here, looking at this last 5 years, were there a couple interviews, even one interview that you say that just stood out? Obviously, I think we've had over like 50 people come on, which is really, I know you feel the same way. We're really grateful for people to take time to come on here and talk to us about their profession. Most of them are teachers. We've had a couple of superintendents, administrators, but is there anyone that kind of stands out to you? That you thought, oh, that was fun. They're all fun, but that was really even more so.
Yeah, I think that man, I hate to repeat ones that I brought up in the past, but I have to be honest about certain people we've talked to. And because if you're asking the day to day, I'm an English teacher, so I'm gonna lean on that. I'm gonna lean on people we've talked to that influence my day to day. I have a quick story about Wade.
So it's
Wade and
Wade.
Wade and I were at each other's metaphorical throats in Indonesia. I don't know if we were just pranking each other, talking smack against each other. But it's ironic because to me, his our interview with him and his wife Helen is kind of like a cornerstone for me. It kind of was a watershed moment for me because it allowed me to feel better about how I taught in the sense that I know when my students are reading they're doing the most important thing. Because you second guess yourself as an English teacher a lot. But what Wade and Helen were demonstrating is the importance of read alouds and just getting them to read really impacts their ultimate goal, which is improving their test scores. Um, I gotta say that Ozzy,
Oh, yeah.
uh, we've had him a couple of times. We haven't had him in a while. We should bring him back. But he has so many moments. Everything related to Ozzy has helped me as an English teacher. Even the idea of reading East of Eden. As recently as a couple of days ago, one of my students said, Mister, I love to read. I just finished All the Light That We Cannot See. So I have a book there that I don't even remember why I ordered it.
I like that one.
All the Light That We Cannot See. And she said, she finished it and she said, what should I read next? And I told her, East of Eden. It's right over there. Read it. It's unforgettable. But that whole episode and the subsequent, I think we had him on twice, so good.
Yeah.
And David Dorf's interview, we talked about checking in, talking to your students. These are old ones though.
But still
And
work.
I also love some of the movies that we've seen. And just the Mr. Harkle
Oh, he was fun. Yeah, he's great.
and his movie, and just the impact of the movie and how much you grow as a teacher. Watching the movie, talking to him, um, was big. Back to Dorf, I just want to say
Sure.
his thing where you throw the football around. Um, it's important to just breathe and take a break every once in a while and to rethink what you're doing. Checking in on the students, for sure, student surveys. Um, and then I'm going to just leave it and say the last one, of course, talking to Tom Wolfe was a
Oh, yeah.
great thing for me in the sense of I got to tell him things I've always wanted to tell him. And I got to ask him, we both got to ask him good questions that we've been wondering, but just to see him in action, people got to see what we saw, where he could just break down a concept with acronyms and letters and just the way he phrases things.
Yeah.
The law of Manu and the law of Moses.
Popsicle stick. Yeah.
Popsicle stick with pages. Um, this is Tom Wolfe. This is what we grew up with. This stays with us, has impacted us, and there's so many good ones.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, you brought up so many good memories. But as I'm listening to you, Ruben, you mentioned about how we've done better maybe communicating. I'll be honest with you, I feel like and I think most people would agree. You're definitely a better communicator than I am, but I feel like I'm still working at it, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with, at least I could say, hey, have I improved a little bit? I think I have. I used to jump on a lot of your words in the beginning, and I still do sometimes, but not as much as I used to. So I could see that's a plus. But that being said, I see
You're
you.
much better. You're
Okay.
right. You have greatly improved in that area.
Yeah, but
Where,
I definitely want, yeah, from the past.
and remember, we used to sit by each other in the beginning, and a couple of times I'm like, let them talk. They're in the middle, and you would jump in, but you don't do that anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I credit you for helping me with that, and just even watching. And sometimes you even watch yourself too. You go, ugh. Sometimes it's really painful to watch yourself, but at least if you're learning something, that's important. But I'm thinking about you though, and maybe we could end with this and regarding your, to me, you're one of the most busiest people I know. You're in middle, you teach, and you also teach AP, which is a very difficult thing to do. And that being said, you also, do comedy in the evenings many times. And I now know you're working on a master's, and then of course being a son and brother and all that. So how do you balance yourself? Or is it going to be difficult to do this podcast still? I mean, people ask me all the time, "Oh, hey, I really enjoy it," and no one ever asks me, "Hey, when you guys stop, which I'm glad they don't. But for you though, how are you able to manage that? How are you able to do that?
I don't know. I don't know. It's
True, yeah.
an immense amount of pressure to teach at the school I'm teaching at. I don't think the podcast adds to too much pressure,
Okay.
but the reason why I do comedy and maybe the podcast, I would say the same thing, is it makes me feel good about myself. And I think it's okay to feel good about yourself sometimes because teaching in a high pressure environment, you feel bad about yourself sometimes because you feel like this is a lot and you never feel like you're done. You never feel like you're caught up. You
Right.
always feel like you could do more, and you feel like, man, I need to do more for my students here because they have a high pressure, high stakes exam coming up. And
Yeah.
you kind of feel bad sometimes that you feel like you could do more. So I feel like comedy and the podcast is a gift, especially if we do something right. I feel like we don't get as many kudos perhaps in the podcast. Like, but then somebody will give us something. I feel the same way about the podcast as I do with comedy,
Uh-huh.
that we can go months and we just think we're just doing it, and all of a sudden you hear something. You hear something. I just did a comedy show. I just did a show last week that went incredibly well.
Oh, good.
I feel like it did. And and sometimes we'll do an interview or we'll do a review of something and we'll hear about it. We'll hear comments, right? You'll hear about something and it
Sure.
makes it worthwhile and it makes you feel good. Um, and I think it's important to do that, especially at our age, Jake, when we have all these aches and pains.
Hmm.
You need to feel good sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. I will maybe we'll get in with this with the movies. I say movies because we've reviewed a lot of films and we've seen a lot of good films, but we see a lot of bad films and a lot of teaching films. I don't think anybody there's very few Americans I believe have seen more teaching films than we have. I would bet money on that. That being said, it was your idea not too long ago to say, hey, you know what? We could review other stuff besides teaching films but with the eyes of a teacher, and we are both teachers, so we've been doing that, and I feel like it's been fun actually to review things that we really enjoy, or at least we could possibly enjoy it. Sometimes we don't, of course. And we've talked about these Oscar films that are up, and a lot of them are not as quality as we would hope. But that being said, we have kind of taken a little turn in the reviews, and I think it's been good. How do you feel about that?
It has been good, but it is kind of funny to know that we have all this catalog of movies in
Yeah,
our minds from teacher movies and coach movies. And I was just talking to a fellow teacher, where a colleague that I work with, and giving her some teacher movies. I mean, as much as I need a break from these teacher movies that we
sure.
see, I was able to tell her a couple of really cool movies she had never even heard of, like Radical. I mean, you have to
Oh
see
yeah,
Radical. You have to see Teacher's Lounge, you know? You even have, and I was just reeling them off, and I'm like, this has been very valuable. I
yeah.
also gave her the title of a documentary that it's been a few years, titled Approaching the Elephant. And that one is anxiety inducing to see this
Hmm.
school and how chaotic it is,
Yeah.
but so much to get out of. And I also gave her My Octopus Teacher, that title.
Oh yeah.
There's so much. If you just think about the movies we've seen, there's been you and I don't agree on movies.
Right.
You like way too many movies. I don't get it. It doesn't register with me. However, I will say that I've been enriched by a lot of these movies that we've seen. As much as
Yeah.
we've seen some bad ones, um, we've seen some really good ones. So
Yeah.
they and to see some of the teaching approaches, I wouldn't have ever seen Abbott Elementary
Oh
have
yeah.
it had it not been for this
Right.
uh, channel. And there's so many.
Yeah.
There's so many. You could see them, everybody, on our movies we love. Movies we, how about The Class?
Oh, jeez. There's
right?
two movies called The Class
I don't
recently.
even remember. It's either called Class or The Class. One was terrible,
Yeah, one was really bad. The other one was
but
all right.
worth watching. Like terrible, like you can't get like a car crash. Terrible. So
Right. Well, I think well said, Ruben, regarding the films that we watched. And yes, take a look at our site, our channel where Ruben did a really good job about organizing the films that we've liked and we don't like. But with that, Ruben, thanks for sharing your thoughts of these last 5 years. And I do tell people all the time, people always tell me like, oh, you must be really close to Ruben. I mean, like compared to Chris, I go, it's different. I go, I have different relationships with my brothers. We're all three pretty close, but Ruben is like kind of like a marriage in a way.
Ruben's the jerk.
No,
Ruben's the.
no, I never say that.
Am I nicer though? I think I'm nicer than I used to
Well, some
be.
people have said you're the nice one, and I go, okay, that's hard for me to hit. Then I think, well, what can I
Come
learn from
on,
that?
Jake.
What can I learn from that? I could be nicer too. Like, there are times I've been on here, and you know me real well that I could be a real jerk. But that being said, I just feel like it's been good that, and I think you might agree with it. I don't want to get all sentimental here, but I feel like it's been good that you and I at least touch base
Yeah.
every week. And I don't think we did that before. I mean, we did, but not like that, not like this. And so it's been good. So hopefully we go as long as we both want to do it. And so far we're moving forward. And anyway, audience, thank you for being with us. We'll see you soon on Pod and Deliver. Have a good week. God bless. Bye bye.